We got some guys in the Chat Sports team in NOLA for Super Bowl week, getting a ton of coverage on Radio Run. We had one of our coworkers sit down and talk to Dennis Pitta and Todd Heap, and that's what you're watching on today's show. For more exclusive content of your favorite team in purple and gold, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button.
Welcome into Ravens Rundown. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today we are joined by two Ravens legends. We got Todd Heap and Dennis Pitta. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Hey, great to be on with you.
Dennis, you got anything to say?
No, I don't.
I love that we have a Ravens rundown here on Radio Row in New Orleans. That's great.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right into it here. Lamar Jackson, this year's MVP, but there's a certain narrative going around Lamar Jackson right now that he can't beat Mahomes, that he can't elevate in the playoffs. What do you guys think about that narrative, and what do you think this team as a whole needs to do to get over the hump and hoist the Lombardi Trophy?
Todd, you looking at me? You want me to answer this one?
I can answer it as well.
You know
Go ahead, though.
I got this. Let me talk, okay? So I don't like that narrative at all. And, anybody who's watched Baltimore sports, I've watched every game this season. I'm still, a big fan and all that kind of stuff and followed the team closely. And Lamar's everything to this team. I mean, look, the Ravens would not be a postseason team without Lamar at the helm right now. Let's be completely honest. One of the other reasons, you have a guy like Derrick Henry who comes in, and Derrick Henry was tremendous this year. And that combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the backfield was obviously incredibly difficult for people to stop. But Derrick Henry had, a couple down seasons in Tennessee prior to coming here, and it's the Lamar Jackson effect. He had arguably one of the best seasons he's ever had in his whole career in the backfield with Lamar Jackson because so much attention has to be paid to Lamar Jackson when he's out there. What he can do with his arm, the development he's had over that last handful of years as a passer has been incredible. So now he's so dangerous with his arm, and everybody knows what he can do with his leg when he gets out of the pocket in the run game, all the RPO, the zone read, all that kind of stuff. He's just so difficult to defend, and so he makes everybody else around him better, whether it's the tight ends, the receivers, the running backs. He's the catalyst for that whole offense, and they were the most explosive offense in the NFL this year, averaging almost 7 yards a play, something like that. I believe, which was an NFL record. And so it's just record after record with Lamar Jackson at the helm, and he's been tremendous. Now, they've had some great playoff wins in the Lamar Jackson era. I mean, just last year they went to the AFC Championship game as a 1 seed, and had it not been for a fumble at the goal line, they are probably in the Super Bowl last year. Yeah. Is that Lamar Jackson's fault? I don't think so. This year, he had a difficult first half in Buffalo, a couple turnovers that he would be the first to say he would love to have back. But they fought back. They put themselves in a position at the end of that game. And Lamar Jackson, with no Rashad Bateman, with no Save Flowers, drives them 90 yards down the field and scores a game-tying touchdown. Now, they don't convert the two-point conversion, obviously. We don't need to get into that. But
we don't have to talk about that.
Let's not talk about that.
But to anybody who says Lamar Jackson can't get it done in the postseason hasn't watched a lot of Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
And the Ravens have been right there every single year. But unfortunately, they continue to shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers, with drop balls, with untimely penalties. And you cannot throw all of that on Lamar Jackson. I mean, he has been the reason that they're in this position and will be in this position every single year if he's healthy and under center. And so I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan, obviously, as you can tell. He's just the reason for all of their success in Baltimore. And I just hate the fact that he gets so much criticism because he hasn't won the big game. How many great NFL quarterbacks have there been that haven't won a Super Bowl in their career? And Lamar has so much time left. I mean, there's plenty of time for that to come to fruition.
Absolutely. Todd, you got anything to add there?
I mean, I think Lamar's on track. I mean, you look at other great quarterbacks that, like you said, that haven't won at this point in their career. I think Lamar's got a long career ahead of him, and I think he's on the right track. Like he said, it's a matter of nobody's beat the Ravens.
Right.
We've beat ourselves. And so that's when it comes down to it, we just need to get over that hump. We need to have a game where we put it all together in the playoffs. maybe a few games, and then get to the Super Bowl, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about John Harbaugh and his culture, because obviously he's the second longest tenured head coach currently active in the National Football League, and you can't have the kind of success that he's had, Super Bowl champion, all this different stuff, without having a very strong team culture. As guys that are very connected into that locker room, as guys that have been inside that building, what about John Harbaugh makes him a really, really high-end NFL head coach?
Go ahead, Dennis.
I'll take this one, Todd. Listen, I was fortunate enough to play my whole career under John Harbaugh. And Todd, you only had, 2 years with John? John does a really good job of managing all the different parts that it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. And a head coach in the NFL, you don't have to be an expert in the X's and O's on offense or defense or special teams, whatever that may be. You have to be able to manage personalities. You have to be able to manage a lot of different moving parts. And he does that so well. He's very organized. He's very detail-oriented. Situationally, they're always prepared. And one thing that's really overlooked in the NFL and underrated is continuity in a coach and consistency from year to year. I mean, how many coaches have, you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Las Vegas Raiders, all these teams that have struggled for, seems like decades now in the NFL. The Jets comes to mind. They have no continuity at the top. You look at some of the best organizations. I mean,
Ravens and Steelers.
The Ravens and the Steelers. The Patriots, obviously not as of late, but under Belichick.
Yeah, Chiefs.
The Chiefs with Andy Reid. I mean, those are the teams that consistently win because there's continuity in the coaching staff. Now, they're going to lose coordinators every now and then. When I was with the Ravens, we had 6 different coordinators in 6 years. But when there's stability at the top, when there's stability in the front office, and everybody's on the same page like the Ravens are, it's going to translate to wins. I mean, wins in the NFL are from the top down,
right?
Not the other way around. And so many people think, well, you got to have the roster right. You got to have. If you don't have your front office right, if you don't have great ownership, then you're not going to be successful in the NFL. That's just a fact. And we've seen so many teams that don't have that struggle for years and years and years in this league. The Ravens have one of the best owners in the NFL. They have a great front office. They've had continuity in the front office. From Eric DeCosta being an assistant GM under Ozzie Newsome and then taking the reins, and Ozzie still being a part of that thing and kind of nurturing that along. That's continuity in the front office. And when you have that in your GM and your coach, you're going to be successful, and the Ravens have figured that formula out.
Todd, you spent 2 years in the locker room with John Harbaugh. What was something that you really liked about being a part of his football team?
Like Dennis says, it was all about the details. We were prepared for any situation. I remember going into the meeting room on a weekly basis, and he had a different situation that was kind of abnormal, out of the ordinary, that we would go over on a weekly basis. That way, when we went into the games, we weren't surprised by anything. We weren't surprised by any situations because it started in training camp and it went all the way through the season, and we'd pick a different situation. So everything that was in front of us, we had talked about. And so it was up to us just to go out and execute, not think, and just go out and play and execute. And that was probably, like he said, one of the best things that Harbaugh did was just pay attention to all the little details, not let anything slip. I mean, he paid attention to all those little things and coached all of it, and we didn't let it go by the wayside.
Absolutely. So you guys are here as ambassadors for, help me if I'm mispronouncing, Cadix Cleats, and I think that you guys are doing some really innovative stuff with this company. Why don't you guys let us know a little bit about Cadix here and why you think it could be kind of the new tech when it comes to the cleat game?
So Cadix Cleats it'll be one of the first innovations in cleated footwear in a long time, since I've been playing.
Right.
You know, I mean, we've seen a lot of different adjustments with the foot, with the plate, and with the stud pattern and different things like that. But we haven't seen real innovation in a long time. And so I found this about a year ago right now. I found it on social media. Anybody that's ever put on cleats and you see this technology, you think back to your first injury. You're like, what if I was wearing those?
Yeah.
You know, I look back to my first injury. We're playing the Steelers, second game of the season, my 4th year in my career. We had just gone to field turf. Jonathan Ogden slams Kimo Van Olhoffen from the Steelers into my knee on the backside of a play, blocking backside for Jamal Lewis, and just completely obliterates my ankle because my cleat completely stuck in the ground. And the impetus behind these is each cleat has its own kind of a labrum, and so these cleats are able to flex and swivel and rotate and reduce the rotational force put on your knees and ankles. So the innovation provides the ability to kind of reduce the forces that cause lower extremity injuries in your like a high ankle sprain or an ACL tear. And we've just got such great feedback from people. My son's been wearing these for the last year. We've got about 20 guys in the NFL that have been wearing them this year, and the feedback's been phenomenal. And another key aspect of this is for women and women's sports.
Sure.
Kayla Sharples is on our advisory board. She plays professional soccer for Kansas City Current. And the feedback she's given, and a number of other women throughout soccer, women's lacrosse, so many other sports has been incredible from what they're able to feel, and not only does it kind of reduce those effects of the rotational force, but also kind of just gives you a little bit of a cushion. So like you come off the practice field feeling a little better, like
right.
you didn't go through so much on the practice field. You're running hundreds of routes during over the course of a practice, and you come off the field and sometimes you're feeling groggy, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt. This is going to reduce those effects and help you come off the field feeling a little bit better every day.
And reduce recovery time as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely. All right, so we are here in New Orleans for Radio Row, here for Super Bowl 59, Kansas City Chiefs versus Philadelphia Eagles. I want you guys each to give me one X factor that you think is going to determine the outcome of this football game. For me, I think it's going to be the Eagles' run game. If Saquon gets it going, I think the Eagles will probably get it done. If the Kansas City Chiefs do a good job at stopping the run game, they will probably come away with a victory. What do you guys think about this matchup?
I mean, you took the most obvious one out.
Yeah,
there.
I know. I just took the most chalk answer.
Jeez.
I know.
I mean, can we have a little? I'm kidding. Listen, for me, it's actually on the other side of the ball. So it's going to be Kansas City's offensive line against that vaunted front four, Jalen Carter and that group, trying to slow them down. Because if you give Patrick Mahomes time, he's gonna be effective. He's gonna be productive. And so I think all of the stress is going to be on Kansas City's offensive line. Can they slow that group that has been tremendous, especially as of late? Jalen Carter's been, one of the brightest young players in the game right now. If they can slow that group down and give Patrick Mahomes some time, I think he's always dangerous, as we know.
I think it's going to be the Eagles' passing game. You look at what Spagnuolo's been able to do against opposing offenses' running games. He's held them to under 100 yards for a long time now, and so I think that's going to be his focus. Obviously, trying to limit Saquon and his ability to get down the field, and so I think it's going to be incumbent on Hurts and the guys on the outside. Goddard making plays in the play-action game.
Yeah.
Both their stud receivers on the outside making plays, and can Hurts put the ball in position and in those guys' hands to make big plays down the field?
All right, final question here. Final score prediction for Sunday night. Who's going to win? What's the score going to be? Dennis, we'll start with
Dennis
you.
is going to avoid this at all costs.
Let's
watch him skate around this really quick.
I don't like score predictions. It's I'm always usually right on score predictions. I just don't like to give them. Listen, I'll give you a score. I do think it's going to be more low scoring than most people will anticipate. You have Kansas City's defense, who's really become the heart and soul of that team. And, so much is made of Mahomes and Kelsey and that whole group, and rightfully so. They've been tremendous. But their defense under Steve Spagnuolo has been even better. And a lot of people don't give that defense credit for what they've been able to do really through the course of this year and into last year. They were very, very good. And so on the other side of the coin, you have the Eagles defense, who are incredible. I mean, you have Jalen Carter and all the weapons that they have.
Those two rookie corners.
Yeah, I mean, their back end has been incredible as well. And so I think it's going to be a little bit more of a defensive battle. I think it's going to be hard for both these offenses to move the ball with some consistency. Long story short, I'm going to say it's a 17-20 game, and I'm going to go Eagles in this one.
Todd?
And I'm going 28-24 Chiefs.
Okay, we'll see who's right at the end of the week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to Todd and Dennis for joining us here on the Ravens Rundown. We'll see you guys next time.